of our course is about the queuing model. Okay. Firstly, I think you get the syllabus, the update one, right? The update one syllabus. Okay, so you can see that. I don't know that you got it. You can see in the course view for syllabus. Okay, so we have changed a little bit that actually, firstly, I setting on December 4th, right, to be the making up class, but unfortunately, you have like the elective course that the schedule conflict. So finally, changed to November 12th. To talk to Ajahn Chanit. So he's gonna teach you in the on Thursday, 21st of the November. Okay, so please take a look right in course view. I just post the update one for the course syllabus. Okay. I think everything is gonna be okay for that because the timeline on check with me is okay for now. Right? So it changed from the previous one that I'm informed just one day on December 4th, we changed to November 12th. Okay. Okay, for today we will start the new chapter. That will be the queuing model. Okay, and my intention is just want to finish the concept and theory of queuing today. Okay, and for all the example, we're gonna do it together next class. Okay, so for today, just the information and concept of queuing. So I will start with the introduction. Show you what would be the queuing system, queuing model, and how important of the queuing is. Right? And after that, we will go to the characteristic of the queuing system. Right? And for the second part, it's going to be the serial model of the queuing. Okay, that we have like MM1, MMS, MD1, MG1, and so on. So first thing, let's talk about the queuing model. Okay, so queuing model actually, if you go to the textbook, sometimes in the textbook it's called the waiting line model. Right, it's just the same thing. Why do we need to study the queuing model? Right, because actually in the business world, we're gonna see that in everyday life, you can see that we have a lot of queuing involved, right, over us. Right. Let's think about firstly you get up and you have like drive your car, come to the your office or university, right? So you have the queue on tollways. You try to find a parking space in the parking lot. This is queuing. You call the call center, right? And you have the whole from the operator before you go to the someone who gonna service you. So this is a queuing. You have a queue when you try to have lunch. Right? You go to commercial banks, so you have the queuing. Even though you're using the Wi-Fi in the university, it's still queuing. Right? So buying the and then going to the counter at the airport, right? To checking in is still queuing, right? So you can see that in every day we have a lot of queuing system involved all us, right? So the primary goal of the queuing system is that we try to find the best level of service that the company should provide to the customer, right? So this is the main thing, okay? And in order to analyze the queuing system, actually there is like the two approaches for the main approach for analyze the queuing, that including about the analytical modeling and computer simulation. So for our class, we're using the first approach, that would be the analytical modeling, right? So the analytical modeling is mean you have the formula for the models. You just have some assumption to use that formula, and then we just substitute the value into the formula and use it to apply to the business problem, right? And getting the result. So this is all the thing that we're going to use in the queuing model in our class. We're going to use analytical model. that using the formula that we already have the formula, right? But you need to have some assumption, and then you calculate, right, the performance, or you calculate the value to use for making the decision based on that formula. So this is the analytical model. Another approach is about the computer simulation. So for this approach is suitable for the very big problem, very complex, very large problem in the business world. So if you have that kind of the very complex system, so computer simulation may be the one that appropriate rather than using the analytical model. Okay, but anyway, in our class we're using the first one, right? So for the calculation in queuing for our class is not the big problem for you, because we already have the formula. You just substitute the value in the formula and then you're getting the result. But the main problem is that you need to understand that which model that you're going to apply to the problem, which performance measurement that you're going to need to calculate and make the decision. So this is the main problem, not the calculation. Okay, and let's say about some of the example of the queuing system in the real world, right? I have the example from the commercial service system, internal service system, and also the transportation system. For example, for the commercial service system, you can see that even though you're using like the ATM machine, right? So you need to making a queue right before you use the ATM machine. So the service provider is going to be the ATM machine, not the people, right? But the customer is a human, is a people, right? So you're checking in at the airport, right? The airline agent should be the service provider for you. Even though you're using the car, stop by the gas station, so the pump at the gas station, the service provider, car is a customer. So a keyword is that no matter what, you're gonna have like the item or people, it can be all customer and also the service, right? Not just only the people. Service provider can be like the machines, can be like the the automatic equipment, right? And in the internal service system, this is the example that. So as I mentioned about using like the Wi-Fi, you can have the mainframe computer to using the network, so you have like the queue to using the service. Even though in the factory, you may have like the inspection station that the customer is going to be the item or the material that flowing in the flow of the factory, and at the inspection station you're going to have the service provider going to be the inspector who investigate that the item or the material. Okay. In the transportation, so this have a lot of example. Such that you can see that you're using like the airplane taking off or landing. So all airplane are customer and the service provider is about the runway, right? You're finding the parking space in the parking lot. So your car is a customer and service provider is about the parking space. Using the elevators, this can be about a queuing problem. So you can see that a lot of problem that we have the queuing system involve all of us. So next one is about the queuing system cost. Once you understand about the importance of the queuing, you understand that, okay, we're going to using the analytical model for analyze the queuing as an approach that we use in the class. The next one that you need to understand is about the queuing system cost. So there we have like the two main costs that involved to the queuing system. The first one we call the service cost, or the cost that you need to pay in order to provide the service to the customer. Such as you pay for the wage or the salary of the cashier or the service provider, or you buying the new machine to using in the queuing system and so on. So all the expense that you pay in order to providing the service to the customer, we call the service cost. And another cost that should include into the queuing system cost is about the waiting cost. But on the other hand, for the waiting cost, is about the abstract cost or the cost of unhappiness of the customer. You can think about the opportunity loss of the company, right? That the customer are unhappy with the time that they will have to wait in the system. So it means that the company lost the income or the revenue in the future because the customer may not come back to use the service again. So this is like the waiting cost, right? The cost of dissatisfaction, cost of unhappiness of the customer. So we need to combine both of these costs, service cost and waiting cost, then you're gonna have the total cost, okay? So when you have the total cost, right? So then the best level of the service should be the level that provides the lowest total cost. So actually it seems like that you need to trade off between waiting cost and the service cost. Because let's think in the term of things like the cashier counter in the supermarket. If you open the cashier counter very much, right? You have that, a lot of cashier that you open. For sure that the customer are very happy because they have no need to wait, right? Because the queue is very short because they have a lot of counter that they can going to make the payments and doing the transaction. But on the other hand, you pay a lot for the service cost. Waiting cost is less, but service cost is very much. But if you open just very few cashier counter, you pay less for the service cost, but you pay much on the waiting cost. So you need to trade off both of these. So in terms of total cost, let's think about the graph that we have the x-axis that represented for the service level. You can think about it in terms of open the number of cashier. If you go right, it means that you have more and more cashier. And the y-axis is maybe about the cost of that operating. So you can see if you open more cashier, you're using more service level, you're gonna pay more for the cost of providing the service. And normally the cost of service is gonna be like a linear relationship, right? Because you open more cashier, you pay more, but each cashier have the same wage or same salary. But on the other hand, all the wage cost is gonna have like the negative, right? Reducing, negative increase as a graph, not linear. So when you combine both the waiting cost and the service cost, you're gonna have the red one, that would be the total cost. And the minimum total cost normally is gonna occur at the level that service cost and waiting cost cutting together, or on the other hand is equally. So that would be the best level of service for the company that they should provide, because they're gonna pay less for the service cost and also pay less for the waiting cost, okay? But anyway, this is just an introduction for making you understand about the queuing system. The next one is that in order to analyze the queuing system, we need to understand about the structure, about the characteristics of the system first. So then I'm gonna explain you about the characteristics of the queuing system. And we can have three parts, right? The first part is about allowable characteristics, right? Talk about the customer who arrive to the system. And the second part is about the waiting line. We talk only in the waiting line about the model. And the third one is about the service facility. We're talking about the way that the service provider provides the service to the customer. So let's talk about the first one, allowable characteristics. So the first thing that you need to understand for allowable characteristics is about the calling population. Calling population. So calling population refers to your customer that's arrived to your system, to your queuing system. So calling population or the customer who arrived to the system, actually they have two types of customer. The first one we call unlimited calling population, and the second one is limited calling population. So almost all the queuing model and also all the model that we're gonna study in our class, we assume that calling population is unlimited. So we have no limit of the number of customers who arrive to the system. There's no limit that, okay, we're using just this system just for 20 customers, right? Unlimited means we have no limit, right? Number of customers arrive to the system. So this is the model that we can study in our class and the most queuing model that they assume. But for limited calling population, in the real world, you can think about in the closed system, right? The closed system, just like, this is the computer lab. You have like the 20 computers, desktop, and for each desktop, you also have like the printer along with the desktop. So we have one technician to help you in this computer lab. So if you have any problem of the printer, so that guy gonna help you to fix it. So if you have the problem and one person, so the technician is gonna help you to provide a service to fix it. But during that time, we have another one have the same problem. So the new one needs to be waiting, right, in order to let the first one finish, and the technician is gonna come to help them. So in this case, you can see that no matter what, how many printers gonna break down in this system, but we have just only 20 printers. So we have the closed system because we just limit, right, the system just within this computer line. So the calling population, limited calling population means you scope, right? You close the system, limit the system within some area, within some scope. So generally we are not using that because we analyze using the unlimited calling population as normal because most of the queuing model in the real world, we have no limit about the population. And the second thing that we need to understand about the queuing system is about the arrival rate. Right? We call average arrival rate. Right? So let's say that, okay, we're gonna have average, right, arrival rate. So this one, you have to find the average arrival rate. Because if you can not know about average arrival rate, so you cannot analyze the queuing system anymore. Because average arrival rate should be one of the two variables that you're gonna substitute into the formula. So the keyword is about the rate. So this is about the rate of customer arrive to the system. So it's about the rate, so it's measured against time. So we talk just like the 2 customers per hour, 4 trucks per hour, something like that. So you need to measure against time, right? Because it's about the rate. The second keyword is about is an average. So it have no need to be the integer value. You can have like a 5.2 customer average on average per hour. The customer who arrive the system, or 4.4 trucks per hour. That's fine because we're using as an average. Right? So the notation of average error rate, the one that you need to find before you analyze the queuing system, we use the notation as a lambda. So lambda. So you may be familiar with this notation from the stack, right? Cars, right? So this is cars. So this is the lambda. So you need to find lambda in order to analyze the queuing system. If you cannot find the lambda, just skip the queuing. Then you go to another question. Because you cannot analyze, you cannot do anything. So you need to find lambda, right? You cannot find lambda, just move on to the next question, right? And so lambda is about the average error rate, right? It's about the rate of customer arrive to the system. But we also have another one that provides the same information as lambda, but it's measured in another direction. So we call inter arrival time. Inter-arrival time or average arrival time, right? This is about the one that provides the same meaning as lambda, right? But it's show you in another direction. For example, inter-arrival time actually is about the time between two success, between two customers that arrive to the system. So if I say that, okay, I have customer arrive to the system equal to 2 customers per hour. It's the same meaning as every 30 minutes we have customer arrive to the system. It's the same meaning. Every 30 minutes you have customer arrive to the system. It's equal to 2 customers per hour. If I say that, okay, every 15 minutes you're gonna have the customer coming to the system, so actually it's equal to 4 customers per hour, right? 15 minutes you have 1 customer arrive, so 60 minutes you have 4 customers. So it's equal to 4 customers per hour. So that means for average error rate or lambda is tell you as a rate, right? So you tell you against time, but inter-arrival time is tell you as a time between customer, right, arrive to the system. So it's the same meaning, but if you get information as a internal time, you need to convert to be the rate before you substitute to the formula. Right? It's provide the same information. Okay, so this is like the very important thing that you need to have it before you analyze. You need to find lambda, L rate, or either to substitute to the system. And the next one of arrival characteristic is about the arrival pattern. Right, so we have constant and randomly patterns. So constant pattern is mean the every customer, right, time between every customer arrive to the system is equally. Right? But don't forget, don't to confuse with the internal time. Because internal time is an average time between two customers, right, arrive to the system. But for constant time in the arrival pattern, it means that is the time exactly for between every customer, right? Let's say that I have like the students I'm gonna let student to find to meet with the advisor. So every 15 minutes, I let one student go to the advisor. So it's exactly time equally for each between students that they have the time between them equal to 15 minutes. So that would be the constant pattern. So the constant pattern you see a lot in you may think about the factory that is feeding the item or feeding the material using the automatic equipment. But anyway, in our class we don't have the level pattern for using the constant rate, but we're gonna using like the randomly pattern. Randomly pattern is more practical to see in the real world. Well, it's random. It means that the time between each customer who arrives to the system is just random, not exactly equally. So, but it's based on the statistic as well. Because if you say that the customer arrives to the system with the randomly pattern, you need to specify about the probability distribution of that customer. So then, randomly pattern, you need to tell about the probability distribution of that random. So generally in our class, all the model that we study, the customer arrive to the system randomly with the Poisson probability distribution. Right? So this is the one that we're gonna use in our class, right? Poisson probability distribution. And this is a graph show you about the Poisson distribution. Don't worry, it's not appear in the exam, just show you about how the graph is look like based on the function of these probabilities, right? So this is the Poisson distribution. And again, since we're using the analytical model, as I mentioned at the beginning of today's class, the analytical model is mean that we need to have like the assumption before you're using the formula, right? So one assumption that we're gonna use is that all the customer arrive to the system, we assume that they all arrive randomly with the Poisson probability distribution. Okay. And in the real world, if you want to know that okay, is this Poisson the real Poisson or not, you need to test. But just like you study in the statistics class, right? That you need to using the good net of fit test to test about the probability of that customer. Right? But so we don't want it, right? So we just assume that okay, our customer is Poisson distribution, something like that. So that's why we can use the formula. But in the real world, you may curious that okay, this is Poisson, actually Poisson or not. So if you want to test, you need to using the good net of fit test as a step to test the probability of that customer. So that will be the pattern. And besides the pattern for arrival characteristic, the next one is about the behavior of arrivals. Right? So for behavior of the arrivals, behavior of the customer, actually, we assume that all the model that we study in the class is about they perform behavior as a join the queue. Behavior. Join the queue is mean we assume that all customers they are willing to join the system and waiting in the waiting line until they're getting the service. Right? Once they're getting the service, they depart of the system. This is all this is the assumption that we assume in all models that we're going to use in our class. We assume that all customers or all arrivals join the queue. right? Waiting in the waiting line until they're getting the service, and once they finish, they depart of the system. The behavior, others behavior that we are not assume that we cannot use in our class is about the bow and winning. Bow is mean that the customer see, look at the waiting line and see that okay, it's have a very long line, so it's going to take a long time. So they refuse to join the queue. So this is about, so we not assume this case. And another case is about renege. Renege is mean that first the customer make the decision to join the queue. And once they're waiting in the waiting line, they still feel that it's too long for them. So then they make the decision to depart of the system before getting the seat. So in this case, we call renege, right? So bow and renege, we are not using in our class, we are not using in our model. In our model that we study, we assume that all customers are willing to join the queue, waiting until they're getting the service and depart of the system. So all this is about the arrival characteristic. Okay. The next one is the part of waiting line characteristic, or things about in the term of line of the queue. First one that you need to understand is about the length of the queue. Length of the queue. And again, length of the queue, we have two types of length of queue, limited and unlimited. And once again, all the models that we will study, we assume that length of the queue are unlimited. Or we have no limit how long it's going to take for that queue. So you can have the queue is 10 kilometers long, that's fine. We have no limit about how long of the queue into that system. But on the other hand, the case of limited length of the queue, we are not using the vocab, but it can happen in the real world based on the limitation of the physical or the restriction of the physical area or physical element of the place. For example, things about in the term of the parkings of car that we have available in the case that you have the drive-through service. So maybe you have the slot for just 4 cars. So the car number 5 cannot enter to the system because we have no space. So that would be the restriction due to the physical, due to the place, right? So it's going to be the limited length of the queue. But in the work class, we assume that we have no limit. So the queue can be 10 kilometers, 20 kilometers, that's fine. Right? And another thing that besides the length of the queue that you need to understand is about the service priority or the discipline of the service. So for sure that every model that we study in our class, we assume the concept of FIFO, first in, first out. Or I would say that the customer that arrive to the system first, they need to get in the service first and depart of the service first. Right? So we're using FIFO. But in the real world, you can have another discipline that you can apply. For example, in the queuing system of unloading the cargo, right? So maybe they use like the LIFO, last in, first out. Because the one that, install into the cargo, maybe the last one that's gonna getting out, right? So it's like the LIFO. But if you don't have any rule, you just random, right? The customer who's gonna using the service is about the cycle, right? Service in random order. And also we're gonna have the case of the priority of primitive, or the very serious case of the customer, they may have to get in the service first. For example, you prepare for your final exam and you get your headache, so you go to the hospital. You're waiting in the emergency section, let's say 30 minutes already, and the next queue is you, right? It's your turn. But at that time, you have another one person get shot, right? So that guy is more serious than you, right? So the doctor gonna take care of that guy before, because the case is more serious. So this is like the priority of primitive. But anyway, in our class, all the model that we study, we use the very simple rule, first in, first out. Customer arrives system first, getting the service first. And the last part of the queuing system characteristic is about the service facility. Service facilities. Service facility, firstly, is involved by the configuration of the system. You can think about how you're doing like the layout, of the system for queuing. So configuration is consists of the channel or server is the same. Okay. So number of channel or number of server is the same thing. So we have single channel and multiple channel, and also number of phase in the system. We have multiple phase and single phase as well. So number of phase is referred to the number of stopping point of the customer. So all of this we study all of them, right? Single channel is mean that you have only one service provider. Okay, multiple channel is mean that you have more than one service provider. For example, single channel you can think about the ATM machine. Because service provider you have just the machine, right? So this is the single channel. But multiple channel you can think that when you go to the commercial bank at the counter you have the bank teller 3 or 4 person. So that is the multiple channel. And for the number of phase, as I mentioned, that is referred to the number of the stopping point of the customer. So single phase, just like the ATM machine, customer stop just one point when the time that they're using like the ATM, right, to get in the money. And when they finish, they depart of the system. But for multiple phase, you can think about in the hospital that the customer stop by to seeing the doctor, and then the next station they stop at the cashier, and the next station they stop at the counter for getting the medicine back home. So we all study all this, okay? And this is just an example of the configuration that we see in the real world. The first one where you can see is called single channel and single phase. Right? It's called single channel because you have one service facility. So just like the ATM machine, or you can think about the counter of the staff that gonna provide you with the stamp of the parking ticket, something like that. So when you go to the department store, some of the department store, you need to using your parking ticket and getting the stamp from that security or person or from that staff, right, in order to get out of that building. So this is like a single channel because you have one service facilities, and it's about the single phase because customer making the stop just one stopping point at the point that they're getting the service, and once they finish, they depart the system. Right? You have one single line of the customer. And the second one, right, the bottom one is about the single channel multiple phase. Why single channel? Because every point that the customer getting the service, you have just only one service provider. And it's about the multiple phase because customer have more than one stopping point. This can be they have 2 stopping points. So in the real world, probably we can think about in the in the case of cafeteria, right? In some cafeteria, let's say in university. So the student will have line one single line, and they stop by for the station, getting the main dish, getting the dessert, or getting something, and getting to the cashier to make the payment. So every station, maybe you have only one person to provide the service. Right, and then the customer, or in this case about the student, they stop more than one stopping point. Stop to getting the main dish, stop to getting the dessert or something like that. So this is like a single channel multiple phase. And the third one is the most popular one, and we see a lot in every day. And this is the more difficult model in our class. It's about the multiple channel single phase. So you can see the uniqueness thing is that you have only one single line of the customer. Customers stay in one single line, but you have more than one service provider. You have 2 or more. In this case, you have 3 service providers, 3 service facilities. So that's why we call it multiple channel. But we have single phase because the customer stopping at just one point, stopping at the point that they contact with that service provider to getting the service, and then they depart of the system. Okay, so it's called multiple channel and single phase. And the last one is multiple channel and multiple phase. So the example of the hospital system is this one, right? Multiple channel, multiple phase. You stay in one single line to see the doctor. You may have a specific doctor, so you can say, okay, anyone that they are available, so we want to see the doctor. So then you have more than one service provider, and then you stop by at the cashier in order to make the payment. So you have more than one cashier counter. You can have 2 or 3. And then after that, you stop by to another counter to getting some medicine back home. So maybe you have more than one counter. So in this case, all the system we call the multiple channel, multiple phase, because the customer, right, every station that they're getting the service, you have more than one service provider, and they make the stopping point more than one point. They have 2 or 3 stopping points. Okay, so all this we call configuration. So you need to understand how it's configured to provide a service to the customer. And once again, for the service facility characteristic, just like the available characteristic, that you need to know another variable that is very important. We call average service rate. At this time, it's called average service rate. Once again, average service rate is about the rate of service provider can provide service to the customer. So it's about the rate. So it needs to measure against time. Normally, both average service rate and both average hour rate, we're using hour, right? Measure about the rate. Right? And this is about average, so it have no need to be integer. So you can have this against 3.7 customer per hour that this service provider can provide a service to the customer. Right? And the notation for average service rate, we're using mu, right? Just like the task, right? Mu. Right? And another one that provides the same meaning, right, is about the average service time. Average service time and average service rate, right, provide the same meaning but in the different aspect. Because average service rate you measure as a rate, but average service time you tell about the service time that you can provide the service to the customer. So again, if you have the information as average service time, you need to convert to be the rate before you substitute to the formula. This is because in every formula of the King model that we're going to study, they require just only 2 variables in the formula. The first one is lambda, and the second one is mu. So you need to find lambda and mu before you analyze the queuing system. Okay? And for lambda and mu, so that's why it is very important. So if you cannot find lambda and mu, you cannot analyze queuing, so there is no point for you. Right? Because you cannot answer anything. You cannot calculate anything. You cannot, analyze everything. We need lambda and mu. Okay? And once again, if you talk about the pattern of the service, right, we have constant pattern and randomly found pattern. Constant pattern, once again, is happen a lot in the case of you have the fixed cycle system or the automatic system. That every time that the machine or the equipment provide a service is provided using the equally time. So the constant service time or constant the service is happen a lot in the case of automatic or the fixed cycle system. And another case of the service pattern is about the randomly pattern. So it means that generally the service provider provide a service in random service time for the customer. So once again, if you have the randomly pattern, you need to have the probability distribution to explain that randomly. So in our class, the service time that we're gonna use in the model, we assume that is followed by the exponential distribution as a randomly pattern. Right? So, so now you understand that we have Poisson distribution for our level, and for the service time, we're using the exponential distribution. But sometimes it can, switch based on that you talk in the term of rate or time. If you're talking in the term of rate, no matter what, it's about the hour rate or the service rate, it's gonna follow Poisson distribution in the class. But if you talk about the term of time, interval time or the service time, mostly we're gonna assume that it's followed by the exponential distribution. So this is like the thing that we call Markov process, right? Rate is the Poisson distribution. If we talk like the time, it's about exponential. So by the way, never mind. Actually, for the queuing system or the queuing model for this chapter, so you're gonna see that in the problem, they're gonna specify the distribution for you. So that's why, because you need to tell about the distribution of the arrival and of the service provider. Because this is like the assumption that we're gonna use the formula. Right? Because all the formula that we're gonna use is assume that customer arrive randomly and followed by the Poisson distribution. And for the service time, we have one or two models that we assume that service time is gonna follow by the exponential distribution. I'm gonna show you later in the next few slides. Okay. So this is like the graph of the exponential distribution. Once again, no example for this. Just want to show you about how it looks like for the function of exponential distribution. Okay, and once again, now you understand about the three parts of the system, right? But we have no idea how it's going to apply and how it's going to use it for making the decision. So then another part that we need to understand is about how can we measure about the performance of the queuing system. Right? So when we talk about the performance of the queuing system, we're going to talk based on 6 or 7 variables here that's going to use as the performance measurement for the queuing system. Let's talk about the first two performance measurement. It's called LQ and L. LQ and L. So you can see LQ and L. The difference between LQ and L is about the first one we have the subscript Q. So every time that you see the subscript Q, it means that we talk just only in the waiting line, just only in the line. Right? So LQ is referred to the average number of customers waiting in the line. LQ is referred to the average number of customers waiting in the line or in the queue. So I'm said it's about the average, so it's no need to be integer. So LQ is you can have like a 7.6 customer on average waiting in line, that's fine, right? Because it's average. So LQ, average number of customer waiting in the line or waiting in the queue. But on the other hand, L has no subscript Q, right? So in terms of L, we talk in the term of the system. So L is going to be the average number of customers, right, in the system, right? LQ just average number of customers waiting in the queue, but for L is average number of customers average number of customers in the system. For example, let's say that I have the ATM machine right there, right? ATM machine, and we have one person using ATM machine, and the rest waiting in line. So LQ refers to all the customers waiting in line, not including the one that using the ATM machine. But for L, we combine the customer who are waiting in the line plus the customer who are using the ATM machine. Okay, so this is the difference between LQ and L. Because L, we include all the customers in the system. That means in the waiting line plus the one that using the service. Okay. And the next one is WQ and W. Once again, we have the subgroup Q, it means just in the line. So WQ is referred to the average time that each customer spent in the line or waiting in queue. Right? WQ is the average time that each customer waiting in the queue or waiting in the line. But the bill, there's no subscript Q, right? The bill is the average time that each customer spend in the system. So I would say the bill actually equal to the WQ plus service time. Right? The time that you're waiting in queue plus service time is the bill. Time that waiting in queue is WQ, right? When you're using WQ plus service time, it's gonna be the bill. Okay? And this is like the average as well, right? So now you know for performance management already, LQ, L, WQ, and W. Okay. The next one is typo. So firstly, just delete all and have the parentheses on server because it's about role. Role is about the utilization factor, or you can say is it about the probability that the server are busy. So it means about the property that when the customer arrive to the system, you see that at least one service provider is gonna provide service to the customer. For example, let's say that this is like a commercial bank. At the counter, we have 3 bank tellers. Rows mean that the property that when you arrive to that bank, and you see at least one bank teller provide the service to the customer. Okay. So it can mean just one bank teller provide the service, or you arrive to the system, you see just 2 bank teller provide the service, or all of them provide the service. We don't care. We talk about the property that when you arrive to the system and you see at least one, the service provider, right, gonna work, right? So we talking in that utilization factor, we call it rho. And for P0, the next one, is on the other hand, P0 is about the probability that there is no customer in the system. So it means that P0 tell you about the probability that there is no queue. Right? You can go to getting the service, no need to waiting in line. Right? P0 is about the probability that there is no customer in the system. Right? And for Pn, the last one, is about the probability that you have exactly n customer in the system. Right? If you want to say, okay, I want to find the probability that we have 3 customer in the system, 4 customer in the system, 5 customer in the system, so you can using Pn to calculate. And don't worry, we're gonna have all example for this to make you getting better understand about the model. But anyway, before we go to each model, I want to talk about the notation a little bit because for the model that we can study in both class, you can see that we have like the MM1, MMS, MD1, MG1, and so on. So what are they, right? So we're gonna go to the notation to understand. So the first one of the notation, right? The first one is tell you about the arrival distribution. It's tell you about the arrival distribution. So if you have arrival distribution to be M refer to the Poisson distribution. In the first position, arrival distribution, if you're using M, it means that all the arrival arrive to the system with Poisson distribution. So in all the models that we can study, the position of the notation is M, right? So it means that all the models that we study, we assume that customer arrive the system with Poisson distribution. The second one is tell you about the service time distribution. Service time distribution. If you have service time distribution to be M, it means that that service time follow exponential distribution. But if you have the service time to be the dog, so it means service time is about the constant, right? Service time constant. And if you have service time distribution to be G, so it means the service time followed by general distribution. General distribution is mean the other distribution that is not the exponential and it's not constant. But it may be normal distribution, maybe uniform distribution, and so on. But we need to have to know about the mean and the standard deviation of that distribution. And the last position is about number of servers. So if I say that, okay, our model is MM2, what does it mean? The first M is about the arrival distribution, right? So it said that, okay, we have customer arrive with Poisson distribution. The second position, we have M again, so it means that service time followed by exponential. And the last position is 2, so it means we have just 2 servers. Okay, so this is the notation, right? We have 3 positions. The first position tells you about arrival distribution, right? And normally we using M because we allow the customer arrive with the Poisson distribution. The second one is about the service time distribution. Right? So if you have M, it's service time is follow exponential. If you have the dog, service time constant. If you have G, service time follow general distribution. That you need to have, that you need to understand that you can know about the mean and the variance or standard deviation. But anyway, for the specific model of the queuing that we can study in our class, we will study just the first 4 models. The last one we will not cover in our class. The reason is that this is a very rare case to have the infinite source model. So we're gonna use the first 4, and I think it's enough. Because in the real world, when you analyze the queuing system, you're just using these 4 models combined together. Okay, so it's a lot actually. So we can study just the first 4 models. The last one we're gonna skip it. Okay. And before we go to this, for each model, once again, this is all the general assumption for all these 4 models. Firstly, since the first position of all is M, so it means that we assume that all arrival, right, arrive to the system randomly with Poisson distribution. Second one, we use the discipline using the FIFO, right? First in, first out, or the customer who arrived to the system first need to get in the service first and depart of the service first. And the third one is that all the formula that I'm going to show you for each model is based on only the single phase. So it means that if you have multiple phase, it's just the combination for each single phase combined together. Right? So formula we have just only single phase. If you have multiple phase, you need to use this combined together. And we have no limit, right? Unlimited about the queue length. And again, this is typo. During your analysis, we assume that all, lambda and mu, right? Lambda and mu are stable during our analysis. So this is the assumption for all of them. So let's see the first one a little bit. So the first model we call MM1 model, right? You can see for MM1 model, customer stay in one single line. So we have only one single line of the customer. We have only one service provider, one service facility. Once the customer getting the service, that customer depart of the system. So the example of getting stamp from the staff or the parking lot ticket, something like that, or the ATM list like this model MM1, because you have one single line of the customer and you have one service provider. Okay, and once again, we're using FIFO, no bulking, and we need all of this we already talking about. Arrival rate is followed by Poisson, so with time is exponential distribution. And this is very important for MM1. Average service rate have to greater than average arrival rate, or mu have to greater than lambda. In order to apply MM1 model, mu has to greater than lambda. Or the rate that you're going to provide a service is more than the rate of customer arrive. Why? Because if mu less than lambda, it is not the queuing system. Right? You're going to have like the queue system that customer is not staying in the queue. A lot of people try to get in service and they not stay in the line. For example, we have just two counter to selling the ticket for, let's say, GOT7 or something. You have a big fan of GOT7, you have like a huge, but you have just two counters, right? So it's not the waiting line. You see, you can have like a lot of customers try to getting to buy the ticket, and they not stay in the line. You have like the kiosk of the system that not that good, right? Not is stay in the line, it's not in the line system. And how about mu equal to the lambda? It's impossible as well. Because if mu equal to the lambda, it means that the service provider, they're gonna work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, so there is no stopping. So it's impossible. So that's why for the MM1 model, if you want to apply, right, mu has to greater than lambda. Okay? And don't forget that both mu and lambda, you need to use the same period of time to measure. If you're using per hour, you use per hour for all. If you're using per minute, you're using per minute for all. Something like that. And this is a formula for MM1. Okay, you can see that we have, the customer, okay, stay in one single line, getting the service depart, and after they getting the service. Customer arrive with the rate lambda, the service provider provide the service with the rate mu, and then once customer finish, they depart the system. Once again, each formula show you about the performance measurement of the MM1. And you can see that for each formula, it requires just two variables, lambda and mu. So that's why I'm saying to you that if you cannot find lambda or mu, just skip the queuing question. Go to other question so you have no point for that problem because you cannot do anything. Even though you try to write down the formula, there is no point for that formula because in the exam, we still provide the formula for you. You still have the open book, open note, you have the formula, and you write down the formula. There is no extra point for you, right? So go to another problem, right? And you can see one interesting is that utilization of rho and P0, right? In this case, rho is about the lambda or mu, but P0 is 1 minus lambda or mu. So it means that actually P0 in this case equal to 1 minus rho, right? So it's going to happen just like this, just only in the case that you have only one server. So if you have to see, if you have the chance to see the formula for MMS, utilization of rho and the P0 will not be this just like this relationship. This relationship for just only the case that you have one server. I will talk about this later based on the example, okay? But just want to show you something that very interesting that for one server, if you have one server or one channel, right? Rho and P0, they have this kind of relationship, right? And you can see that if we go through this example, let's say that I'm using the example of car wash, right? And you expect that the car gonna arrive to the system in the single line, and we have only one team of the washer to washing the car, and based on the historical data, you believe that car will arrive every 30 minutes, and the team can wash the car in 20 minutes. So we assume that arrival rate followed by Poisson and service time. This is typo. Service time is exponential. So the question is, what are the operating characteristics of this system? So when you're getting the question to ask you about the operating characteristics, so it means that you need to calculate all the performance measurement for that model. So in this case, it's about the MM1 model because car stay in one single line, and you have only one service provider because you have one team of washer, and also the information that you have. Right, car arrive with Poisson distribution. So, and also the service time is followed by exponential. So this is like the MM1 model. So in this case, if you want to analyze this one, firstly you need to finding lambda and mu. And in this case, lambda is equal to 2 car per hour, right? Because car arrive every 30 minutes, right? So you have 30 minutes, you have 1 car arrive. So 60 minutes, you can have 2 cars. So lambda is 2 cars per hour. And how about mu? Right? Team of car washer, they can wash a car on average, right? 1 car using like 20 minutes. So we can say that 20 minutes you can service 1 car, right? So 60 minutes you can service 3 cars. So in this case, lambda equal to 2 cars per hour, mu equal to 3 cars per hour. And once we know lambda and mu, then we know that the model is MM1. So we substitute lambda equal to 2, mu equal to 3 into this formula, right? So then we can have the operating characteristic of this problem, right? And this is the result. You can see that L equal to 2 cars. So we can say that, okay, on average, we have 2 cars in the system. The bill equal to 1 hour. So it means that on average, each car spends 1 hour in this system. LQ equal to 1.33 car, so it means that on average in the waiting line or in the queue, we have car on average 1.33 car. WQ is 0.67 hour, so it means on average each car spend 0.67 hour in the line, right? And rho equal to 0.67, or we will say that it's about 67% that the team of car washer is going to be busy when you arrive to the system. And P0 equal to 0.33, so it means that there is the multi or the channel, there is no car system equal to 33%, right? So this is the result, right? And based on this result, let's say that I would like to calculate the cost, right? So once again, you know that the total cost is the combination between the total cost of service and the waiting cost, okay? So let's talk about the service cost first. So for the service cost, we're going to use number of channel or number of server multiply with cost per channel, right? So if I let S to be the number of channel and CS to be the cost per channel, so then the total service cost is going to be S multiplied with CS. And how about the waiting cost? You can see that waiting cost right now we have two formula, right? The formula based on the time in the system and the formula based on time in the queue. So both of these two formula is quite the same, except that for the time in the system we're using the bill, and the case of time in the queue we're using the bill queue. See, the bill is an average of waiting cost per time. Lambda is lambda, right? Why do we have two waiting costs, right? Because it depends on the problem that you face. In the real world, normally when you calculate the total, when you calculate the waiting cost, we're using the first one. We calculate the time based on the time in the system, because the customer gonna dissatisfied or unhappy for the whole period, for the whole time that they're using the service. But they're gonna have some cases that the customer are unhappy just only when they're waiting in waiting line. But once they get in the service, they're feeling they're happy. For example, let's think about in terms of Commandant's Day just a week ago. Think about the people who are graduate and getting like the diploma. So they might got up at 2 a.m. especially for female, 2 a.m. For what? For making up, right? For setting up the hair or something. So they might, waiting in queue for 3 or 4 hours, right, to getting the makeup for artist or something. So maybe it feel like, okay, this is very tired, so it's why it's too long. But when they get in service, maybe they're feeling good, right? So make all the look beautiful. So they forgot all the time that they waiting in line. So in that case, the customer just unhappy only the time that they waiting in queue. But when they get in the service, they feel happy. They're okay. Okay, so that's why the time that we're gonna use for the waiting cost, we're gonna use just only the time that they're waiting in queue. Okay, but never mind. In our class, it depends on the information of the problem. It's gonna very clear for you, right? The wording in the problem is gonna tell you exactly that which time that you're gonna use for the waiting cost, time in the system or time in the queue. Generally, more than 80% is time in the system for sure. But in some cases that they mention in the problem that the waiting cost is based on waiting in line or waiting in queue, so then you're going to use the case of the time waiting in queue or using the bill queue to calculate. So in this case, let's say that if I assume that the cost of waiting per time is $10, and the cost of service provider per server is $12. So then we have one team, right? So again, service cost S, since we have one team, so S is about the number of server. We have one server, this one is CS, so the total service cost is $12. Is if I'm using the time in the system, so this is lambda, this is the bill, this is C bill. So we have 20 for the waiting cost. So then we combine the service cost with the waiting cost, then you have $32 as a total cost in this case. And also, besides this one, to calculate the cost, we can have another formula to calculate the cost as well. So it's based on your preference. That one is this. So this is the formula for calculating the total cost as well. And you can see that everything is quite the same. This is the for service cost. It's the same as the previous one, right? The difference just the first one or the waiting cost. The difference is that in this formula, instead of we using lambda multiplied with W or WQ, we're gonna use, L or LQ. Because actually, this relationship is for real. Lambda multiplied with W equal to L. Lambda multiplied with WQ is equal to LQ. So why do we need to have this formula? Because sometimes when you analyze the system, you're getting L or LQ first. So once you want to getting the cost, you can using L or LQ multiplied with CW, and you're getting the cost for waiting. No need to finding W or WQ. Okay. So this relationship is the real one that we can apply for our model, all the model that we study. Lambda multiplied with W equal to L. Lambda multiplied with WQ equal to LQ. So if you look carefully, lambda is about what? Customer per hour, let's say. W is hour, right? So you're gonna have like the customer finally. So that would be LQ. Okay, so this relationship is for real. So this very useful in the case that when you analyze the system and you get L or LQ first, no need to going to find W or WQ. If you want to find the waiting cost, you're just using L or LQ multiplied with CW, then you're getting the waiting cost. Okay, so this is the MM1 model. Okay, so we're gonna have the break here because the next model is quite a little bit complex. It's about the MMS model. Okay, so please take your time, grab something to eat, and we're gonna come back and study again after the break.